everyone. I'm really glad you listened to me, and I hope that I can tell you some new data which are interesting in terms of health. As you can see, my motto is the greatest wealth is health. Many people do not know that actually until they don't get sick or disabled or anything else. And suddenly it turns out that indeed having any kind of immobility or having any kind of physical stress costs a fortune. And besides that, it is very important to feel well. Your well-being is not noticeable until you are not well. What I would like to show you today is how leisure sport and professional sports are related to health and what kind of multidisciplinary studies are in our university, especially in our institute and in our lab to measure health, fitness, and well-being at the same time on molecular or exercise physiological basis. So today I won't talk about social circumstances, I won't talk about economical circumstances of health and well-being, although you will see that our data, what I'm trying to show from the Hungarian statistics, show that indeed the greatest wealth is health for a whole community, for the country, and even for the world as well. Miklós, can you show me the next slide, please? Okay. So if we are talking about the biological studies and the biological points of well-being, health, physical activity, leisure, and sport, we have always the same questions. First, how and what to measure, and what to analyze to understand health and fitness parameters, to distinguish between fitness and being not fit in terms of health. Probably you know that, thank you. Probably you know that there are many statistics on Earth showing that all kind of mortality causes are based on lifestyle habits, based on modern human people's behaviors. So if you check this slide, you can see the WHO data. Actually, it is from 2000 and 2010. And I was pointing here some of the references which are very important in this respect. But if you want to check PubMed, you will find thousands of papers showing all kind of mortality causes on Earth. As you can see, the first one is high blood pressure. It was around 2000 and it is nowadays as well. And the second mortality cause on Earth is tobacco use, basically smoking. And the third one is high blood glucose. And high blood glucose is a very important parameter, because probably all of you know that type 2 diabetes is basically a huge problem on Earth. And the number of people having type 2 diabetes is increasing all the time and exponentially, meaning that millions of people get type 2 diabetes day by day or year by year. Now, if you check this table, and if you check the real data behind this table, then it turns out that high blood pressure is caused by physical inactivity. High blood glucose is caused by physical inactivity as well. So if we collect all the data of physical inactivity, it turns out that physical inactivity itself, by itself, is the second mortality cause on Earth. And even if we stick to the first mortality cause, which is high blood pressure, part of the high blood pressure is still caused by physical inactivity. So you can see that indeed motion is a very important parameter of health, and it is a very important parameter of being or not being, living or not living. Can you show me the next slide, please? Now, as I said, I will show you some of the Hungarian statistics and the Hungarian data. There is a huge project in Hungary, which is a representative project. Every other year or every third year, professionals collect data from the medical statistics. And from these data, they create charts of life expectancy, how long a regular Hungarian would live. And besides that, they try to analyze the data and show if people can live without limitations or they will live with limitations. As you know, aging populations, just like the populations in Europe and peoples in the States and so on, are aging, meaning that life expectancy is longer and longer on Earth. As you can see, if a Hungarian is born, the newborn baby can expect a lifespan of 65 to 75 years, depending on sexes and actually depending on different years because of the statistics. Anyway, if you check this figure or this graph, you can see that in 2000 and 2003, and later even in 2007, these data are all analyzed already, it turned out that Hungarians who were born earlier, so they were really aging, they were over 65 or so, could expect a longer lifespan than the younger ones, meaning that something is wrong in the Hungarian population, because Hungary by itself is actually a quite well-to-do country on earth, even though Hungarians are always complaining that Hungary is a very poor country. It's definitely not true. And the life circumstances, medical circumstances, hygienic circumstances, and even nutritional circumstances are excellent in Hungary. And still, if you check these data, you can see that the expected lifespan of the younger age groups is shorter than the older age groups. And besides that, you can see that actually the expected lifetime without limitations is much shorter in the younger generations than in the older generations, meaning that something is wrong in our lifestyle. Something is happening in Hungary which is not a problem of the economy. It's not a problem of the medical industry, if you like. It's not a problem of the education or the income status of the Hungarian population. It is something else. Can you please skip one slide? Thank you. So I was showing the WHO data telling the number one mortality cause is basically high blood pressure on Earth. And if you check these data from the Eurostatistics, you can see that ischemic heart disease are quite numerous actually among European populations and among European people. And if you check this graph, you can see that the fourth on this list is Hungary. So ischemic heart diseases are very numerous in Hungary. The high blood pressure is again very numerous in Hungary. We are on the first or in the second place, thank you. We are on the first or on the second place if we are checking high blood pressure percentage in the Hungarian population, comparing it to the European population. As I said, the medical status and the medical industry is very good in Hungary. So many of the people who have all kind of high blood pressure problems, ischemic problems, and so on, stay alive. And this is only the deaths from ischemic heart disease, what you see on this figure. And still, as I said, although we have a very good medical industry, although we have very good doctors, very good backgrounds for curing people, every third or fourth death is basically in Hungary caused by all kind of heart diseases. Please go on, Miklos. Thank you. So I'm sure you all know this figure. It is very famous. You can bump into it on the internet, anything you are checking about physical activity. This is one of the most important figures that was created in terms of benefits of physical activity. And you can clearly see that if you have an inactive lifestyle, or if you have only very moderate daily activities, actually you can say no activity at all, just walking sometimes, you will have much more health problems than those people who are really active, exercising daily, or they have moderate or vigorous exercises and activities, as you can see. And all the details about how many minutes you should collect it within a week in moderate or high intensity physical activities are based on medical studies. And actually it is published by WHO and many other important professionals as well. And as you can see, the benefits of physical activity are constantly increasing until the point of being a professional sports person. And even in that case, if you are training and exercising well, the risks and the harms are although dramatically increasing, but they won't cause deaths, or they won't cause medical problems if you are training properly and if you have a good trainer and a good doctor, actually. Can you go further on? Okay, so if we check regular people's life, as I said, even in Hungary, there are certain problems with the lifestyles. And you know very well that lifestyle factors are studied on pencil and paper, protocols and projects and so on. And there was a new phrase created, especially in the United States, and that is the couch potato, the person who is physically inactive and spending most of his or her time in front of the television or in front of the computer and enjoying all kind of big meals and so on. And as you can see it on the graph, the body composition and the body structure is changing dramatically. The person will increase the fat percentage in the body and not the muscle and not the bone. And as a consequence, this person will have all kind of musculoskeletal, cardiovascular, and so on problems. And finally, he or she won't be able to move. As you can see, this huge excess weight, what these people are carrying on their bodies, makes them basically impossible to have a proper life. So they will live with limitations. Limitations which will create a very unpleasant life because they won't be able to move around in the kitchen. They won't be able to cook their lunch because they will be constantly tired, because their cardiovascular system, their heart is unable to give enough oxygen and give enough metabolites to the body to survive. And that is only one parameter I was mentioning. So, of course, if we are able to change our lifestyles, if we are able to move around, if we are able to lead an active lifestyle, our health is going to be better. I just want to refer back to the first table in which the first mortality cause was high blood pressure. And as I said, the second mortality cause on Earth is physical inactivity. So lifestyle and body structure, body composition are strongly related to mortality causes, as you can see it here. And that is a very easy study. You do not need very expensive equipments to study the body composition changes, the body structure changes. Even BA or MA or MSc students are able to lead projects and have all kind of usable data in certain populations. Please go further on, Miklós. Okay. So the activity pyramid is again very well known. It is based on studies and it is based on WHO's descriptions. As you can see, this pyramid is very similar to the food pyramid, telling you what to do every day and what to do 3-5 times in a week, 2-3 times in a week, and cut down as much as it is possible. If you remember the food pyramid, the tip of the pyramid says and shows certain products, certain meals, what you should avoid, what you shouldn't eat. And in this pyramid, you can see that physical inactivity should be cut down. It says do not watch TV, do not play computer games for a very long time, do not sit more than 30 minutes at a time. Unfortunately, I will talk longer than 30 minutes, so you will sit longer than 30 minutes, but if you want to, you can stand up in the meantime, and it will change your circulation a little bit. But anyway, as you can see, to lead an active life and have an active lifestyle, it's enough to play every day outside a little bit. It is enough to have a dog and walk the dog or fetch the dog and play with the dog or with any other family members, not only with the dog. If you have friends, if you have children, it is enough to have a proper active life, to play with them, to go to the playground or to go to the backyard if you have one. It is good if you loan your lawn or you gardening or you are going to shop, buy food and so on. And it is very important to take the stairs instead of using the elevators all the time. You know that there are all kind of projects on Earth, even in the States, when they pick few weeks in which people are walking at least downstairs, if not upstairs. And it is well known, the statistics are very clear about this 1 or 2 weeks, in terms that if people are walking only down the stairs for 2 weeks, their health status is going to be much better. Unfortunately, as soon as the 2 weeks is over, people start using the elevator again. So this lifestyle change and lifestyle habit won't stay with them. It is working only for those 1 or 2 weeks which were advertised everywhere, even in the elevators. Please, people, do not use the elevator, walk. Again, this shows that it is very important to educate people very early on for the physical activity, for the active lifestyle. So it is part of their thoughts, it is part of their habits, and not a later thought something for someone, like a course at the university. Okay, I was taking the course and now I'm good, I have the credits. Active lifestyle is a long-lasting project from womb to tomb, basically. And if you want to stay healthy, or if you want to age healthy ways, then you really need to be active. Would you please go on, Miklos? Okay. If we check life expectancies, you can see that there are all kind of strategies showing people the differences between active and inactive lifestyles. And you can see that which are the optimal responses of the body, which are the stress responses of the body, what is going to be better and what is going to be worse. And as you can see, if you have an active life, your cells will live longer, they will be healthier, your body repair, your immune system is going to be better, you will have a much better endocrine function, much better brain functions, and so on, and all of your cells will survive longer. Finally, if you check the two sides of this graph, you can see that if you have an inactive life, then you can expect about 78 years as a life expectancy. And if you have a really active life, a healthy active life, actually you can expect 100 or 120 years. The difference is huge. And the problem is, as I said, that active life is a lifelong project. And most of the people do not understand that when they are exercising for 20, 25 years ahead. So if you were exercising as a 15-year-old kid, then you are going to be healthier when you are 30 or 35 years of age than those ones who did not exercise when they were 15-year-old. So it is not only a lifelong project, but it is a long-lasting investment, because you are investing now and you will get the refund, the excess 20 or 25 years later. This is why it is never late to start exercising. This is why it is important to start exercising when you are 50, even if you did not exercise before, because if you start exercising at the 50th birthday, for example, you have a good chance to survive for 70, 75 years. And when you will be 70 or 75, you will be much more healthy than those ones who are still living, but they are not healthy. They have all kinds of limitations, as we said, even in everyday life. It's not a question if I'm able to hike for a long distance. It is a question if I'm able to put on my shoes when I'm 70 or 75, if I need help to go to the bathroom, if I need help to go shopping, if I need help in cooking, and so on. So it is the question of the everyday life, of healthy everyday life. Can you go on, Miklos, please? So, as I was showing you, there are all kind of different methods to measure health, to measure fitness. And as I was mentioning, as we age, of course, everything is getting older in our body, meaning that even our immune functions won't work as well as it was working when we were young. It is called immunosenescence, So it's basically the immune system's aging. It is normal. As you can see, the difference in inactive and active lifestyle is not the fact that the immune system is aging or not aging. Of course, it is going to age. The difference between the two is how high the cancer of risk is when we are aging. Because if we are exercising regularly, our immune system stays healthier, our cells will live longer, they will die later, and the cells of the immune system will function better. And if we get a cancer when we are aging, the prognosis of the cancer is going to be much worse if we have an inactive life. And if we have an active life, the prognosis is going to be much, much better. I wouldn't say that it is straightforward, but it is very well known that if people are exercising even with cancer, their health status is going to be much better than for those people who are only taking the medications, who are visiting the doctors, and otherwise they are living an inactive lifestyle. Would you please go further? Okay. So to test these ideas and these hypotheses, we were conducting different physical education, physical activity projects with different populations. And the first one, what we were conducting for a long time, was aging people, elderly people. We went to an elderly home in Hungary where people are quite old. The average lifetime is over 80. So the average age of this population was between 80 and 85, depending on with which group we were working with. And in Hungary, those people who live in elderly homes have all kind of medical problems, of course. So these people we were working with had at least 2 or 3 chronic diseases. Of course, one of them was high blood pressure or other cardiovascular problems. Many of them had type 2 diabetes. Many of them had all kind of skeletal problems, joint problems, and so on. So we were picking old and sick people, and we started to exercise with them from 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the population we were working with. And what were these exercises? We were conducting 2 or 3 training sessions per week. Each of the training sessions lasted for 30 minutes, not more. And all the exercises these people were doing happened on chairs. These people were standing up rarely. Since they had all kinds of musculoskeletal problems, it was much better to conduct all kinds of exercises and games on chairs. So these people were sitting during these trainings for 6 or 12 weeks, and we have measured many biological parameters, of course, and one of them was the status of their immune system. And I'm showing here 2 of the data only. So please don't forget that these people had a very inactive life throughout their life. They have 2 or 3 chronic diseases. And don't forget that they are unable to stand up and do exercises without the chair. So after the training sessions, we have measured their immunological status, and of course we measured it before the training sessions. So let's talk about 6 weeks. You can see that I'm showing 2 parameters. One of them is called TNF-alpha, and the other one is CRP. And the first measure was done before the trainings, and the second measure was after the trainings, after the several weeks, of course, not after one training session. what can we see? We can see that these parameters were dramatically changing. Let's check the CRP concentration. CRP is short for C-reactive protein, which is a protein in our blood showing how high risk we have to have cancer. And these people have a very high CRP concentration before the training sessions, showing that these people have a very high chance for getting a cancer shortly. And after our trainings, again, don't forget that these are sick, old people sitting only on chairs. After our trainings, the CRP concentration is dramatically dropping, significantly changed compared to the before sessions, meaning that after these trainings, these people became much more healthy, their immunological status became much better, and the chance for getting any kind of cancer was dramatically dropping. The other one is the TNF-alpha concentration. That is another immunologic factor in the blood. And you can see again that this parameter is dropping in concentration after the training. And this parameter is important because TNF-alpha is able to cause all kinds of inflammations in the body. And if you do not have a good immune system fighting bacteria, fungi, and so on, it's very easy to get a huge inflammation and to die in these inflammations. Since TNF-alpha was dropping after or during the training sessions, this means again that their immune system became much better and their life expectancy is much better after the training than it was before. So with these two simple parameters, you can see that even if people are very sick, even if people are old, we can help with physical activity to regain some of the normal functions and to have a much better, much healthier life. Please, Miklos, go further. Now, our question was after a while, okay, if we are able to get people a better life if they are sick or if they are old, what will happen if we are measuring very healthy young people and they are physically active? What will change? Will we measure any kind of changes in biological parameters? You can see the outline of our study. It looks very complicated, but it is basically simple. It is complicated to do it, but the structure is very simple. We asked young, healthy people, actually all of them were university students at the end, who were healthy. Of course, there were all kinds of checkups for that. And they had an inactive lifestyle because they were studying a lot and they did not have the mood to go to exercise and so on. So we asked them to stay with us for 6 months and exercise with us 2 or 3 times in a week with complex trainings. All of them enjoyed the trainings. They were even able to decide if they wanted to come to the training sessions in the mornings or in the afternoons, on which day they wanted to join the trainings. All they had to do is to come 2 or 3 times in a week to our trainings. And you can see the training protocol as well. It was a moderate training. It was not heavy training. It was not very light either. As you can see, there were warm-ups, cool downs, and in between there were aerobic and some resistance training components as well. And these people had to stay with us for 6 months. We did not ask them to change their lifestyle. We did not ask them to change their nutritional habits. We did not ask them to change anything. They only had to join us with our trainings and to stay us for 6 months. And of course, we were measuring biological data. As you can see, molecular immunological sampling and data were outlined, and actually we did them. And besides that, we were measuring their fitness level with all kind of easy field tests. We checked their heart rates with the polar team system. So all of them had the polar on at the same time, on the same day, in the same time frame, and in the same training. And we were measuring their activity status with actigraphs. They were wearing the actigraphs for several days and several times during these 6 months. Would you please go on, Miklos? Of course, I cannot show you all the data. I would like to draw your attention to some of the data. The first, the A figure shows how their activity status changed. As I said, our trainings were not vigorous. They were not heavy trainings. It was light or moderate training. But it turned out that during those weeks and days when they did not have the training, they have changed their lifestyle. They changed their habits. And the inactive time was significantly lower after 3 months and after 6 months than before the lifestyle changes. And as you can see, the light moderate activity zone was significantly changing as well. So indeed, their lifestyle, their habits changed. They did not exercise at home. They were not asked to exercise at home. They were exercising only with us. Still, their lifestyle and their habits were changing. And as a consequence, you can see that their resting heart rate was decreasing. You can see that the training intensity was significantly increasing since we were using the polar system, since we were monitoring their heart rates. We always changed the training intensities according to their heart rates. So you can see that indeed the adaptation of the circulatory system happened, and actually we were measuring their blood pressures. All of them had normal blood pressure, and still the blood pressure was decreasing after 3 months and after 6 months as well. And the graph C shows their fitness changes actually with the 6-minute walking test. It is a very simple test, field test, but it is very good in measuring aerobic capacity changes and measuring maximal oxygen uptake changes. And you can see that their fitness level changed significantly after 3 months and after 6 months as well. So again, nothing has changed in their life. We did not ask them not to munch. We did not ask them not to eat chocolates or anything else. We did not ask them to change their lifestyle. All they had to do is to come and train with us 2 or 3 times in a week for 6 months. Could you please go on, Miklos? Okay. Here, again, you can see many immunological and endocrinological data. I do not have time to explain them in details, but I would like to draw your attention to CRP, because I was showing that this C-reactive protein shows the possibility of cancer, the appearance of cancer. And I was showing the CRP changes after 10, 12 weeks in elderly people. But these people are healthy, young, they do not have any medical problems. And if you check the data, you can clearly see that after 3 months already, the level of CRP is dropping in their body. And after 6 months, it is even lower. And actually, it is statistically significant. I did not show it on this graph, meaning that the chance for cancers or any kind of immunological problems is dramatically dropping even in young, healthy people after regular physical activity. And I was showing the changes of TNF-alpha in the elderly people, and you can see here in the young people, it is decreasing after 6 months, especially. We were checking all kind of hormonal changes. One of them is the cortisol level. Cortisol is an interesting hormone because it is a hormone which is elevated in concentration in level if you are very stressed, but it is also elevated if you are more fit, especially if you are aerobically fit. And as you can see, their cortisol level was changing significantly, meaning that although they, as I said, they were university students, after 6 months, they were in the exam period. It was a very stressful time. Still, the cortisol level doesn't show the signs of the stress. It shows the signs of the aerobic capacity increases, what I was showing in the fitness test. And if you check the counts of the immune cells, you can see that there are significant changes. The immune system became much better. And in terms of the lymphocytes, there is the last figure, the E figure on this list, which shows the T lymphocyte cell number count. And you can clearly see that after the regular physical activity, their immune system is working much, much better. Would you please go on, Miklós? And the last thing what I would like to show is the carbohydrate metabolism, because I was starting with body composition and body fat changes, and I was talking about type 2 diabetes. As I said, these people were all healthy. None of them had any kind of problems with their carbohydrate metabolism, with their glucose level, or with their insulin level. But we know that if you have an inactive lifestyle, insulin becomes resistant. The insulin level is increasing first, then it is decreasing, and you will get type 2 diabetes. But in this case, you can see that the concentration of insulin is increasing in this population, meaning that their carbohydrate metabolism became much better. And I do not have time to show the data, but they were losing a lot of fat from their body, although their weight did not change, especially not significantly. Their body composition has changed because they had much more muscle than before the trainings, and their body fat percentage dropped. And it is very interesting that, especially from the triceps, subscapular, and abdominal regions, they were losing a lot of fat from their body. So again, I would like to emphasize how important regular activity is in your life. And even if you have a light or moderate intensity exercise, it is enough to increase your health status, to become a healthier and, of course, a happier person. Would you please go on? So thank you for your attention, and I would like to show a few pictures of Pécs, of the university, and of my colleagues. You can see the people from the Institute of Sports Sciences and Physical Education at the bottom. These are Ph.D. students and all of my teaching colleagues as well. you can see the front of our campus, the gate of our campus, where our faculty is, the Faculty of Sciences. And you can see the building of our gym and swimming pool behind the trees. And there is a very famous church or cathedral in Pécs, and I wanted to put the picture of this cathedral in. So thank you for your attention, and please feel free to ask.